conservative new media viewers, JLin fans around the world, LA Lakers fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, back from vacation. Hope you guys all had wonderful New Year's holiday season and that you enjoyed time with your family or other friends, loved ones, or just by yourself, and that you had a good, relaxing, restorative time during that season. We're here to discuss in the long video format the Lakers' 109-106 loss tonight in Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, to the Memphis Grizzlies. With the win, the Memphis Grizzlies improved to 24-8, while the Lakers dropped to 10-23 with the loss. We did make a short video about this game, so if you'd rather watch that, or maybe you want to watch that now, watch this later, you can check that out on our channel. You'll find it. It's the last video that was done before this video. Quick stats. Mike Conley for the Grizzlies, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Marc Gasol, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Beno Udrih, 16 points, 3 assists. And I said I would mention Beno more in the short video, and I didn't, but I will be talking about him here in the long video. Finally, for the Grizzlies, Tayshaun Prince off the bench, 12 points, 4 rebounds. Los Angeles Lakers got 20 points off the bench from JLin. He played 28 minutes, shot 9 of 14 from the field, including 2 of 3 from three-point range, 0 free throw attempts, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block shot, 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls, and his plus-minus was a +2. Nick Young, 14 points off the bench. Carlos Boozer, 14 points off the bench as well. Ed Davis had a strong game as a starter, 20 points and 8 rebounds. Ed was 7 of 9 from the field. He was really good in this game. Unfortunately, he missed a important free throw down the stretch that we'll talk about. Finally, Kobe Bryant, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Kobe almost had his second consecutive triple-double. Kobe did miss a potential game-tying three-point attempt as the buzzer sounded at the conclusion of this game. So what happened in this game, the quick overview, was that the Lakers were in control for the first 2 quarters. Not in overwhelming control, but they were ahead by 5 points going into halftime. Memphis came out much more determined and focused, particularly on defense, in the second half. They outscored the Lakers by 8 points in the third quarter, and that gave Memphis a 3-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, and both teams scored 29 points in the fourth quarter. And down the stretch, the Lakers were trailing. They came back. Kobe Bryant drove to the lane and passed the ball to Ed Davis with a very short time left in the contest. And Ed Davis had the opportunity to tie the game up if he made 2 free throws. But he was only able to make 1 of 2 free throws. That forced the Lakers to have to foul Memphis in order to have a chance to get the ball back. I believe Memphis made both free throws to put them up by 3 points. The Lakers then got the ball with 0.6 of a second left. JLin inbounded the ball to Kobe Bryant about 45 degrees left of the top of the three-point arc. Kobe turned around, got a good look at the basket, shot the ball very much online. Looked like it was going to go in, but it was just slightly long, and it bounced high off the back of the rim and trickled off, and Memphis won the game. That's basically what happened in this game. We will be going over some quarter by quarter and talking more about the game. But first, let me talk about what was going on before the game. If you're new to these videos, the way that we do the long video is what I just did. I just quickly recapped the game, give an overview, and what happened in the game. Then I talk about what was happening before the game to kind of set the stage for the game itself so that we know kind of the daily drama or what was going on before the game actually took place. Then we go over the game itself and some quarter-by-quarter stuff focused primarily on JLin, but also talking about other important players and incidents in the game. And then finally, if I have had the chance to see some post-game reaction before I make this video, then we'll talk about that also. And tonight I did have the opportunity to see some post-game stuff that we need to discuss, and we will discuss that. So, the what happened before this game, and this made a lot of JLin fans unhappy, was, I believe it was 2 days ago now, or maybe it was yesterday. It was one of those two situations. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. Byron Scott was asked about JLin by one of the team reporters, just kind of what his thoughts were, or how did he think Jeremy was doing this year. Now, what Byron Scott said in a nutshell was that he felt that Jeremy could be giving the team more than he has given them, thought that Jeremy has been inconsistent this year, and that Jeremy seems to lose his confidence at times. Byron mentioned that one game, Jeremy will play really well, and then the next game, it's like the confidence is gone. So, let's go over this, kind of break this down a little bit. Look, and I mentioned this on Twitter, there is something to what Byron Scott is saying, particularly as regards the confidence issue. And the reason why I say that is, and Jeremy said this himself this season. I know he did. I remember hearing him say it. If something is being brought up, if an issue is brought up repeatedly by different people, in other words, if you have 10 different people talking about you, they're critiquing your performance, and 8 out of the 10 of them say the same thing, or they mention the same issue, then there's a good chance that there's something to it. Now, if you've heard different individuals, coaches, teammates, talk about JLin over the last couple of years, since he left New York, you will constantly hear the word confidence brought up. Now, we've gone over this issue many times. At a core level, Jeremy is a very confident person. He's actually pretty cocky, to be honest. However, there are times where he loses his NBA basketball confidence, which is a totally different thing. The NBA basketball confidence can be affected by many things. It can be affected by, well, I think I'm good, but my coach doesn't think I'm good. Or I think I'm good, but my teammates aren't giving me the ball. So there are different reasons why you can lose your confidence in a certain situation. I think that this is a legitimate issue for Jeremy. We've talked about this. I've mentioned stuff like sports psychologist or whatever, and I'll repeat what I've said before. I don't care what Jeremy does to work on the issue. It doesn't matter what he does. He just wants to find a way that is effective for him. And we've also mentioned that Jeremy is not the only person to have this issue. I almost always bring up LeBron James when this is mentioned, because LeBron James has had struggles with confidence or anxiety or whatever you want to call it. It's all related. You only get anxious if you lose your confidence, or losing your confidence makes you anxious, or whatever. So I think there's some truth to that, to what Byron's saying. Also, I will say this about Jeremy. There's kind of a stubbornness to Jeremy's game. And what I mean by that is Jeremy wants to play his way all the time, which is to say, regardless of what system Jeremy is in, whether it's the Rockets system or the Lakers system, whatever, Jeremy still wants to be him and play to his strengths. And I'm not saying that's bad, but I think there are times where it interferes with Jeremy kind of fitting into different systems. The way that this plays itself out right now with the Lakers is that Byron wants his point guards to swing the ball, move the ball, and kind of take a secondary role in some respects. And Jeremy is best when he is attacking and looking to score and passing out of drives that he's taken towards the basket. That's not exactly what the Lakers' system is right now. So there's a clash there. There's kind of a collision between what Byron wants and what Jeremy does. And that's the truth. And look, I'm not at the meetings. I'm not breaking down all the film. I can't tell you who's right or which approach is more effective. But if your coach wants you to do a certain style and you don't do it, then you might not play a lot, or you might have to take a secondary role. And I will say that is an issue for Jeremy. He does need to become a little more adaptable to what the system asks out of him, rather than just kind of he's going to play his way no matter what. And as I'm just being honest about that. It's just what I see. Now, again, Jeremy's great at playing that way, but not every coach wants to play that way. So I think that can be part of kind of what's been going on here between Jeremy and Byron Scott. Now, the good thing about what Byron Scott was saying and what he said was when Byron Scott says Jeremy knows he can give us more, what Byron essentially is saying there is we all know how good Jeremy is. We know Jeremy's better than what we've seen. So that's a good thing. He knows Jeremy's got talent. That's good. That's a lot better than saying, well, he's just not that good, or he's not as good as we thought he was, because Byron knows he's good. Everybody knows he's got talent. So that's kind of the silver lining. Jeremy does need to continue to expand his game, which goes along with what I was saying earlier. You do need to be able to function in different systems. Now, the best thing for Jeremy is to find a system that works for him. More of a wide open style. Somebody playing a Mike D'Antoni type of an offense, or heavy passing offense where the point guard is leading the show. So that will work best for him. But while he's getting to that point, try to run what the coach wants you to run as much as you can. And continue to work on the facets of your game. Yes, Houston wants you to sit in the corner. Okay, well then be able to sit in the corner and hit threes. So keep working on that so that you can play a variety of roles. And I will give Kobe credit in this. Kobe can function pretty well in different types of offenses because he's got a pretty complete skill set. He can do a lot of different things. Now, he likes dominating the ball, but he can still play. He can play as a passer. He can play as a scorer. He can play in different ways. And so that's what Jeremy wants to continue to work towards, having that versatility. And finally, Jeremy does need to continue to work on his shot, because I do think his shot has been up and down this season. And that's not a surprise to me at all. I said earlier this year and I said last year, I think it will take Jeremy a couple of years for him to become a really good shooter consistently. And we're still in the middle of that process. He's improving, but it's going to take some time yet. Now, to counter what Byron said, Jeremy, in terms of his being rewarded and punished, what's been coming to Jeremy in terms of how he's used, that's been inconsistent. In other words, Byron's been inconsistent with him. And there's times where Jeremy's playing well, and then he's benched. So that's, if you think Jeremy's inconsistent, part of it is because of how Jeremy is being utilized and being treated. So that's also part of the equation. That's also the truth. And I'm not saying what's wrong, what's right, but if Jeremy was kind of given more of a leash to run on, I think you would see more consistency. I know somebody on Twitter directed me, Melody Ting showed me something that was written at JLin Portal, where one of the posters was pointing out, look, when you give Jeremy such an X amount of minutes, he's going to do, you will get a consistent result, but you're not playing him X, you're not doing that. He's starting, he's benched, you're playing him a lot, you're playing him a little, so that's all part of what we're seeing here. And so Byron can say whatever he wants to say, and some of what he said was correct in my opinion, and some of it is affected because of the choices Byron is making. So I understand why Jeremy fans were upset, and I think it was a little, it's not completely fair what Byron was saying. We're not seeing a clear picture here. But in order to get playing time with your coach, you have to do what they want you to do. And so if Byron wants you to pass the ball more than shoot it, then Jeremy's going to have to keep working on that. So, okay, let's talk about the game itself. This was actually a compelling game. It was a fun game to watch. The Lakers played very hard. They just got back Ryan Kelly, the power forward slash small forward, and they have just added Tariq Black from formerly of the Rockets. This helps considerably. Both of those guys can help this team. Now, I was discussing this earlier on Twitter today, and this gives the Lakers more shooting, more youth, more athleticism, particularly with Tariq Black, and it can help the team and it can help JLin, because instead of playing Carlos Boozer, you can play Tariq Black, who is younger, is more explosive, runs better, or instead of Carlos Boozer, you can play Ryan Kelly, who can stretch out the defense out to the three-point line. Ryan's an excellent shooter. So the Lakers now, they're pretty close to, if not at full health, for what they're going to be this season, given that Steve Nash is not going to play, Julius Randle's out for the season, and Xavier Henry is injured and out for the season. So we're finally starting to see more of the true depth of this team, and it gives Coach Scott more options, and it will help the offense, and it will help the defense. Tariq Black, for those that don't know him, he's listed at 6'11", but he's really about 6'8", honestly, with no shoes on. So, maybe like 6'9" in his shoes. He's big. He's like 250 pounds or more. He's explosive. He's a good jumper, good runner. He's athletic. He played football and I believe was recruited even into the NFL in football as a tight end. He's a gifted athlete, and he can do some stuff in the pick and roll, which would be good for Jeremy. You need more guys that want to go to the basket on pick and roll plays rather than shoot jumpers. Tarek Black is going to the basket on pick and roll plays. I believe he's a rookie. I don't know if he's going to ever be a great player, but he definitely can help the team. Ryan Kelly is tall. Again, he's a good shooter. He's young. He's energetic. He's deceptively athletic. He doesn't seem that athletic, but he can get some block shots and things that you don't think that he would get. So having those guys back down the line should really help out. Now, I mentioned in the short video that with this defeat tonight, the new starting lineup of the Lakers, which is with Ronnie Price and with Ed Davis, after Byron Scott removed JLin and Carlos Boozer, they're now 5-8 in their trial period, I guess you would call it. For the Memphis Grizzlies tonight, they were missing starting power forward Zach Randolph, which of course is a key element to their team. So they were missing Zach, and that definitely affected them in some respects. Okay, let's go over some quarter by quarter. Again, I'll just do some selected stuff. Ed Davis was playing with a mask on tonight because he broke his nose, I believe, in the last game. So if you were watching the game, you certainly saw that. What I noticed early, one of the things was that many of the passes from the Lakers were going to Ed Davis because everybody knows Ed is good around the basket, which is why we Lin fans always talk about, hey, why don't you play Jeremy with Ed Davis more? Because Ed Davis is, again, a very good pick and roll player. He can elevate. He can get off the ground, and he's going to dunk the ball, and Jeremy's going to find him on easy alley-oops. Well, everybody else knows that Ed's a good finisher around the rim, so they're all trying to pass him the ball too. So it's not a real big secret. I'm very happy for Ed because Ed played with Memphis, and they kind of gave up on him. They didn't want to, but they felt they needed to, and Ed's really starting to develop his game. He's found a home in L.A., and he's really been able to show his talent, so I'm very happy for him. The biggest thing for Ed now, or one of them, is he's got to figure out how to foul less. That's one of his real issues, and it's a common issue for younger players or inexperienced players. Tarek Black has the same issue. So they're just going to have to keep working on that maybe for a year or two, and then they should get better, and the referees will hopefully give them a little bit more leeway in time. Okay, the Kobe started out well early in this game, and he was really filling up the stat sheet. And by the halftime of this game, he already had, I want to say he had 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, or something close to that. So he was looking like he was going to get his second triple-double in a row. And he didn't quite get there, but he got very close. And he has altered his game since coming back from the 3 games out. And I think that's good. I think that's good for him personally in terms of his stamina and his body, the wear and tear. And I think it's good for the team because what Kobe is doing now is he's not shooting as much. He's looking to facilitate and pass the ball more. He's playing more of the kind of the point guard role like a James Harden in Houston. And I think it's a good decision. I think it works better for him, and it will let him play effectively longer rather than just getting worn out with trying to do everything, including score a ton of points. Okay, Jeremy came into the game with about 5 minutes left, and don't have the exact moment down because I was actually on the phone at the time. He came in with about 5 minutes left, and the score, when I saw that he had come in, was then 13-9 for the Lakers. Then the Lakers continued to stretch their lead up to 17-9, and at that point, Memphis took a timeout. So the Lakers started out hot. They looked great. It was very similar to how they looked in the Denver game. Their confidence is growing, and as many jokes and shots that we take at Byron, we've got to give them credit for that. The team has showed resiliency and some toughness, and the chemistry is starting to click for whatever reason, and it's encouraging. They came out, they jumped on Denver. The Lakers were shooting, what were they? They're shooting like 70% the first quarter. They couldn't miss. That's how they started tonight. And that's good. That's kind of shows that the team is improving, even if they're still struggling to close out games and get wins. That's good to see. Okay. Jeremy, late in the first, went up to the basket. He shot a layup and he hit it on the right side of the hoop, and he got knocked down on the play, and he didn't get a foul call. And look, he may have exaggerated the contact a little bit. I'll say that. Okay, he's just not getting any foul calls. I mean, it's upsetting. And just to be neutral about it, you think he'd be getting some calls. He's really not getting hardly any calls right now. And I'm sure he's not happy about it. The Lakers announcers have pointed it out recently in games, and I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if the refs are mad at him or something, but it would be good to see him get more calls because he deserves them. And right now he's not getting them. Okay, then Jeremy had a nice defensive play where he forced Mike Conley into a missed shot. Then, also late in the first, I put easy because Jeremy almost had a turnover in transition. Now, he was great tonight, but he had 5 assists, only 1 turnover. I mean, you can't really functionally do better than that, 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. He still has to be careful at moments. He was in transition. He drove down the left-hand side of the lane, and he did the jump to pass thing. Now, on the play, he wanted to shoot, but he realized as he went up going for a shot, he realized that the defender had the angle on him, and that if he shot, he was going to get blocked or miss. And so while he was up in the air, he then looked over his shoulder and passed the ball back to Carlos Boozer, and Carlos had to save the ball. So Jeremy wants to keep working on that. Now, with his aggressive style of playing, that's going to happen sometimes. You have to live with that. There's no way around it. But still, the more he can control it, the better. Then Jeremy, right before the quarter ended, he had his second score of the game. He got a nice layup in transition. Jeremy really had his confidence and his touch going tonight. And this was a welcome sign because the last couple of games, particularly I think in the Denver game, he just didn't look good. Ronnie looked great, which is good for Ronnie. But Ronnie looked great, and Jeremy looked terrible. And it was kind of like Lin fans were getting mad. You kind of could see people was like, I'm not watching this anymore. Just frustration and anger because it looked like the Patrick Beverley thing all over again. It's like, some player that's thought to be a scrub or not very good, somehow they are inserted as a starter over JLin, and all of a sudden they become the greatest player that ever lived, while JLin regresses, supposedly. And so we're starting to go down that path. And you could see the frustration in various fans, and it wasn't looking that good. I think the Denver game might have been the lowest point in the season for Jeremy. And I believe Jeremy, after the game, put out like a prayer request or something like, or a blog post kind of saying that he's struggling and pray for people. And tonight's game kind of put all of that away. And that's good. This was a bounce-back game for Jeremy. He needed it. His fans needed it. And the Lakers needed it, just in terms of the front office and the people evaluating Jeremy. This is what they want to see. And he delivered. And, I mean, Jeremy looked as comfortable and as confident as any game I can remember this year and any game I can remember in recent times watching him. Like I said, his moves were slick and precise. His dribbling was excellent. His individual perimeter offensive moves were fantastic. I mean, he made some great moves in this game to get himself space on the perimeter to either get by his man for like a layup attempt or else to get room to be able to shoot. He had almost no hesitation on his shots. He was locked in. And so when Byron Scott's saying, we see one Jeremy in one game, and the next game is like a different person, there is truth to that. And the difference between being a good NBA player and being like an okay NBA player is consistency. So Jeremy has to figure out how he can get this result and make it repeatable. How can he do this as steadily as he can? You're not going to shoot as well as he shot tonight every single time. Even if nobody's playing defense against you, you're not going to shoot 9 of 14 every night. So it's not like that. But how does he keep his mindset? How does he keep his confidence? How does he keep his rhythm game in and game out, regardless of whether he's starting or coming off the bench or whatever it is? Jeremy played tonight like a starter that knew he was great. And he was coming off the bench, but it didn't matter. He came in, it was like he was just gliding on air. So one of the things he and his team have to keep working on is figuring out how can we get this as consistently as we can. That's something he has to work on. And look, many players have to work on this. It's just, I really believe that Jeremy hasn't really figured that out yet. And some guys figure it out quicker, and some guys it takes longer. And it doesn't matter. For Jeremy, it's just try to figure it out as soon as you can. The sooner he can do that, then the quicker all of this, the silly talk and the up and down and Jeremy getting dissed and pushed aside is going to end. So hopefully that'll come in the near future. But even if it doesn't, just keep working at it. It will come. It will happen. I am sure of that. He just has too much ability. And it's going to happen. That's part of what Byron was saying. We know Jeremy can do more than what he's doing. Right. We know he's good. Everybody knows Jeremy's good. That's honest. So it's just a matter of how do we put it all together? How do we do it repeatedly? And that's what he's working on. And tonight was a great step forward. Okay. After the first quarter, Jeremy had 4 points, 1 rebound, and 0 assists. But he really blew up in the second quarter. This was probably his best quarter of the game. Early in the second, Jeremy had his third score of the game. He hit a long jump shot from about 40 degrees right of the top of the arc. He was just inside the three-point line. So it was a long jump shot, and he was knocked down on the shot. And again, he got no foul called. So, like I said, I I don't know what's going on with him and the referees, but I don't know. Hopefully that'll get fixed at some point. Then Jeremy had a great play. He dove on the floor, stole the ball from, I think it was Beno Udre, and he, while sitting on the ground, kind of handed the ball off to a cutting Wayne Ellington, and then Wayne Ellington drove in and dunked the ball. It's just a great play. You could see Jeremy was pumped up, Wayne Ellington was pumped up, the crowd was pumped up. So Jeremy had a ton of energy tonight. He was everywhere. His defense was excellent. Like I said, I mean, this is one of the most complete performances that I can recall from him in a long time. His confidence was good. He wasn't thinking too much. Just whatever he wanted to do, he was doing it. And it was working really, really well. So, if you haven't seen this game, definitely you want to check the highlights out. The JLin highlights, the team highlights, etc., because it's well worth watching. It was a lot of fun to see. Okay, then Jeremy had his fourth score of the game. He drove down the right-hand side of the lane, did his little move where he stops and then pivots backwards, and he shot a fadeaway jump shot, which he hit. At that point, he had 8 points on 4 of 4 shooting, and that caused Memphis to take a timeout because at that point the Lakers were up 31-22 early in the second quarter with 10 minutes and 38 seconds left. Then after the timeout, the Lakers broadcast came back and they had one of those graphs up that showed JLin on home versus JLin on the road. So we're back to that whole narrative. Jeremy at home versus Jeremy on the road. Again, I don't buy into that really at all. I'm not saying there's nothing to it, but I don't think there's a whole bunch to it. I think it's more anecdotal, and I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think Jeremy thinks a lot about that, or that I don't think that has much of an effect on him. Then Jeremy had his 5th score of the game. He had hit a 3-pointer from about 15 degrees right of the top of the arc, and it was just, like I said, he wasn't even thinking about anything. He was like, I'm just going to shoot it. I'm just going to shoot anything I want. Everything's going in, and it was going in. So at that point, he had 11 points. He was 5 of 5 shooting, and that made the score 34-22 for the Lakers. Then I put defense. Jeremy playing great aggressive defense out on the top. So he was out on the top of the arc, really getting after the Memphis guards, Beno Udre and Mike Conley. And he was attacking them. That's what we've talked about. That's what we said we want to see with Jeremy. You attack the offensive player. You make them adjust. You herd them, almost like you're a sheepdog and they're the sheep. And that's exactly what Jeremy was doing, and it was great. He was completely into it, and the crowd was loving it, and it was just rolling. Then Beno Udre did make a nice play against Jeremy. He basically faked Jeremy out and cut to the basket. Udre got a pass from Marcus Sol, which he converted for a nice, easy layup. And I will talk more about Udre in a minute, in a bit. Then, also early in the second, Jeremy had his first missed field goal of the game. I thought at this point Jeremy was in a good groove. He knew it. The team knew it. So they were letting him do his thing. And at this point, he kind of thought he was over-dribbling a little bit too much, meaning just him dribbling the ball rather than swinging the ball on the offense. A little bit too much isolation stuff for himself. And this is the stuff that Byron doesn't want him to do. So he does have to work on this, but at this point, I don't have a problem with it here because he was playing so well that this is kind of what's known as a heat check. Okay, I'm hot. Let's see how hot I am. Let's see if I can just keep hitting shots. So it was that type of a thing. Going in the middle of the second, then Jeremy missed his second field goal attempt of the game. He shot a three-pointer from about 15 degrees left of the top of the arc in transition, was just a little bit short. Then he fouled Tayshaun Prince on an and-one layup, which Tayshaun converted after Jeremy missed the three-pointer. So basically, Jeremy came down, took a three-pointer in transition. He missed it. That led to a Memphis fast break. And then on that fast break, Tayshaun Prince scored on a layup. Jeremy fouled him, and then Tayshaun got a free throw attempt. Then I put again, no. And that was because I thought Jeremy was holding the ball a little bit too much. This is when he was more in shooting guard mode than in point guard mode. And he's not moving the ball around enough. He's not involving the rest of the team enough. So, as I said, Jeremy does have to work on that. He does need to work on that. And this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier when I said his stubbornness. He wants to play sometimes a little bit too much isolation basketball for himself, where he controls the ball and he controls the action, and he's going to dribble it, and then he'll make his decision. It's not bad because he's great at that. The problem is that's not how Byron Scott wants the team to play. At least it's not how he wants the team to play for people not named Kobe Bryant. So Jeremy's just got to adjust to that. And to be honest with you, the more he can adjust to that, the more it will help Jeremy to be a better player. Not because he shouldn't play with the ball in his hands a lot, but he wants to be able to play in a different style as well. And I think it's kind of difficult for him to not play that way. So the more he can learn to do it, the better it will be for him. Then Jeremy had his sixth score of the game. He just had an awesome move where he got a left-handed layup in transition. He did like a stutter step dribble, almost what's known as a Euro step. In fact, it might have been a Euro step. I've explained what a Euro step is before. It's basically just the name of a move that you make when you're going for a layup. And the purpose of the move is to elude the defender. And it's kind of an exaggerated step just to kind of get around the defender without running into him. And I don't know if that's exactly what Jeremy did there. Actually, I don't think it was. It looked kind of like it, but it was just a great move. And it's like I said, this was the smoothest and cleanest that Jeremy's played on offense in a long time. Everything was working tonight. His drives were working. His jump shot was working. Everything was working tonight. So this was really good to see. Then I put Kobe bringing the ball up to set up the offense. Now, people will say, well, maybe Kobe wanted to, maybe Kobe thought Jeremy was doing too well. He wanted to get some attention back to himself. Whatever. Maybe. I mean, Kobe's Kobe. He can, Kobe has a big ego and he's focused on himself a lot, sure. My own thought at this point in time was that I actually thought Kobe was doing the right thing because Jeremy was in a good groove. But I think Kobe wanted to get other guys involved on offense, particularly at this point in the game. Kobe was trying to get Nick Young involved. I don't think Nick had a good night tonight. I think his shot was off. Again, it's been off recently. And Kobe was clearly looking for Nick. And so it wasn't so much that Kobe was looking for his own shot. He was more like he was trying to play the facilitator role and get Nick involved. Whereas Jeremy was more locked in on his own scoring now. Not in a bad way, but not in a true point guard way. He was more kind of in a Russell Westbrook point guard mode. Like, I'm going to score like crazy. And I'll pass some, but I'm locked in. And if I can get my shot, I'm going to take it. So I thought what Kobe did was not bad here in terms of this is what Byron Scott wants. This is what he wants in his system. So Kobe was doing that. And then what I noticed is that what was happening with bringing the ball up, it wasn't Jeremy or Kobe, was when Memphis missed a shot, Jeremy was bringing the ball up. When Memphis made a shot, Kobe was bringing the ball up. And what it seemed like the thinking that was going on there was let Jeremy push the ball off of misses. In other words, let him get in the open court and use his speed, whatever. But when we get the set defense, when Memphis makes a shot and they have time to get back and set up their defense, then let Kobe look to find guys. And so it's in a perfect world, Jeremy's doing that instead. But again, Byron, Kobe think Jeremy's not doing that, or he's not doing it in the way that they want him to do it. So I get it. I mean, the logic, I understand the logic that's being used here. And so, look, Kobe is a good passer, and Kobe does see the floor well, particularly off of double teams. When he is double teamed, he is good at getting guys the ball. So I get it. I get it. And hopefully Jeremy will be able to more and more kind of take over that role and be able to have the ball most of the time, including in the set offenses times. Okay, then Jeremy had a nice block against Tony Allen. Tony Allen missed a couple layups, and one of them he missed because Jeremy blocked him from behind, so that was good. Then I put easy. Kobe was kind of directing Jeremy where to go on offense on a particular sequence. And Jeremy was a little bit out of control. He kind of drove from the left-hand side of the arc and driving towards the left-hand side, and he almost turned the ball over. And it was like, okay, now Jeremy's getting slightly out of control here. And then soon after that sequence, Byron substituted out JLin and put back in Ronnie Price. And I actually thought it was a good move at that time. Not because Jeremy's all out of control or whatever and Kobe's in control, but Kobe wanted to run the offense more. And he wanted to run specific plays or whatever Byron was telling him to run. And Jeremy was a little too amped up at that moment in time. And just a slight bit out of control. So I don't really have a problem with that. That happens. That can happen to anybody. Just kind of you take them out, just let them cool down. And Jeremy was doing so well, and he was so keyed up because he was playing well that just kind of, okay, just chill out for just a second, and then everything will be cool. Okay. And then I noticed, and this is late in the second, with Jeremy out, then Kobe seemed to go more into kind of the flash mode, like little flashy passes and stuff, where at this point, then it does look like, well, yeah, Kobe thinks Jeremy's kind of stealing his thunder because now with Jeremy out, Kobe's trying to be super Kobe, super point guard Kobe, whatever. So that is a point where people could say, yeah, Kobe doesn't like Jeremy taking his spotlight or whatever. I don't think it's that simple. I think there probably are elements of that, or there could be. I'm not in Kobe's head, so I can't say it. But I don't think that's the whole thing. So, okay, so at halftime, the Lakers were up by 5 points, I believe. Yes, they were. And then moving into the third quarter, of course, Jeremy started the third quarter on the bench. But in the second quarter, by the end of the first half, Jeremy had 13 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. So he was rolling. He had hit 6 of 8 shots. And again, numerically, the second quarter was his biggest. He was on a roll. That's why I said he didn't want to slow down. He didn't want to play slow down ball like Kobe wanted to. He wanted to keep attacking because it was working and he was doing a lot of damage and he wanted to keep doing it. Okay, heading into the third again. Then I put Kobe's legs look better on shots. So this reduced minutes that Byron Scott is doing with Kobe, along with the time off that Kobe took, it does look like it's helped Kobe. He looks less exhausted. He is playing a different style now, where he's not just trying to do everything. And it does seem to be working. That's a good sign for the Lakers, and it's a good sign for Kobe. In order for him to be healthy and play out this year and play out next year, he's going to need to do more of this so that his body can withstand the grind. And so I was happy for him. I'm happy for the team to see that. And I put Tony Allen is doing whatever he wants against Kobe on offense. Tony Allen he's a strong guy. He's strong. He's tough physically, mentally. And he and Kobe have battled each other for years. And I know that Kobe respects him a lot. And basically, Tony Allen was just muscling Kobe down on the post when Tony Allen was on offense. He was getting good position against Kobe and getting easy layups because he was just pushing Kobe around, basically. And that's not easy to do that. Kobe's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's pretty strong. And he knows how to use positioning, but Tony was getting the better of him at that point in time. Then I put Ronnie Price steal. This was a great play by Ronnie. I think the score was 59-56 at the time. Memphis had made a surge. Now the Lakers were kind of coming back, trying to retake control of the game. Ronnie had a great steal against Mike Conley. I was super clean. It's like Mike Conley was just standing there like, just lost. He didn't know what to do. He didn't even move because the steal was such a good steal. Ronnie took it down and then dunked the ball. It was just great. And that started a little momentum surge for the Lakers off of that play. And then, unfortunately, it stopped because Ronnie was playing help defense, I think, to help out on Marc Gasol. He left Mike Conley too wide open. And Mike Conley got the ball on the three-point line, and basically Ronnie Price was too far away to get back to cover Mike Conley, and Mike Conley hit a three-pointer. We talk about this with Jeremy all the time. You cannot help so much that you can't recover. So if you help out one of your teammates on defense, but you can't get back to your man in time, you've gone too far. Jeremy does it a lot, and on this play, Ronnie did it too much. Okay, then I put Lakers finally have some real depth. And it's like I said, it's just good to see these actually 11 guys, I think, able to play tonight or something like that, rather than much less than that or much fewer than that. Okay, then late in the third, Kobe was blocked, driving to the basket, got blocked pretty good, and he wasn't happy about it. He was complaining to the ref, and then unfortunately Memphis was able to go down and get an easy layup because Kobe was back complaining, so that Memphis was basically playing 5 against 4. Okay, then I put that Ryan Kelly was getting a lot of time for Ed Davis, and that was because Ed Davis was in foul trouble. So Ryan Kelly played a decent amount of minutes tonight because of that thing. Jeremy came into the game for Ronnie Price with 2 minutes and 33 seconds left in third quarter. At that point, it was 72-71 Memphis. So Memphis had really made their push. They had regained the lead. And then in came Jeremy. Then Jeremy quickly stole the ball from Beno Udre, and he scored, Jeremy did, on another little stutter step layup. It was just a great, great move. Soon after that, Jeremy missed his third field goal of the game. It was a nice pass by Kobe. He knew Jeremy was hot, so he was looking for him. And Jeremy, it was a tough miss. from the left baseline. It was just way off, but still, at this point, he was still 7 of 10 shooting. So you'll take a miss here and there. Then I put Beno Udrih. It was tough defense for Jeremy. Beno Udrih, nice little move against Jeremy, spin move, and Jeremy fell down, and Beno Udrih scored. And then Jeremy had 2 blown assists. Beno Udrih scored again. Beno Udrih then scored again. And at this point, Beno Udrih had 14 points. Finally, Jeremy had his second assist of the game right at the end of the third quarter. Drove down the court super fast and passed the ball off to Carlos Boozer for a dunk. That was a terrific play by Jeremy. At the end of 3 quarters, the score was 80-77 for Memphis, so they had taken the lead. And now I will, hang on, I might sneeze, sorry. Talk more about Beno Udrih. At this point in the game, Beno Udrih had 14 points. He had really caught fire, and he was starting to attack Jeremy. It wasn't just one-on-one stuff. He was running Jeremy off of a bunch of screens. Some of it was one-on-one. Some of it was running him off screens. Beno Udrih, much like JLin, played for the New York Knicks. And if my memory serves correctly, the Knicks basically let him go for nothing. Like they weren't even playing him. Beno Udrih is from Slovenia. I think it's the same as, is that where the Goran Dragic, sorry. I think that's where Goran Dragic is from. Udrih is a very good player. He is good to the extent that he has replaced Nick Calathis as the backup to Mike Conley. And when Udrih is on, he's extremely good. And you saw that tonight. It wasn't that Jeremy wasn't doing anything against him or playing good defense. It's just Udrih got hot. And so the Knicks look so silly in what they've done with point guards. Obviously, they let Jeremy walk. We know that. For Raymond Felton, as this is going to be, everything was going to be fine with Raymond, and of course it was not. And like I said, I think they basically gave up on Beno Udrih. And it's just absurd. Udrih is a quality player. I don't know. The point guard position in the NBA is so stacked right now. It's very competitive. It's very difficult to get a spot, particularly as a starter. Is Udrih a starter? I don't know. He could be. In my opinion, he's capable of being a starter. He's really a quality player. But if he's not a starter, he's definitely a top-tier sixth man or whatever as a point guard. And so, Jeremy was on a roll, but then Udrih got on a roll. And Udrih and Mike Conley were a big reason why Memphis won this game. And I'm not saying that to criticize Jeremy's defense because he played some pretty good defense. But, again, it's just both of those guys are good players, Conley and Udrih. And I don't know what the Knicks were thinking and just kind of letting Udrih go for nothing, if what it was. It's just ridiculous. But Jeremy had his hands full. And we'll see, they were starting to go at him heading into the fourth quarter. So at the end of 3 quarters, again, Memphis up by 3. Jeremy had 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Now, again, back into the fourth. Early in the fourth, Jeremy missed his 4th field goal attempt of the game. He had a great crossover move. I think it was against Udrih. He, drove towards Udrih, crossed the ball over, got Udrih going backwards, and then Jeremy stepped backwards himself to get separation for a jump shot, and he just missed it a little bit short, but it was a terrific move. Like I said, this is great individual perimeter offensive moves by Jeremy tonight. Some of the best that I've seen him perform ever, actually, which is nice to see. Okay, and soon after that, Jeremy passed the ball to Wayne Ellington for a jump shot in which Wayne Ellington made the shot and he was fouled. Then I put Udre attacking and running Jeremy off of screens. So at this point, Udre definitely was on a roll, and Memphis knew it. And so they were really working him and working Jeremy. As I've mentioned before, because this is the third time that the Lakers have played Memphis this year, Memphis is very good at what they run on offense. They know exactly what they want to do, and they're really good at executing it. So even if you play good defense, Memphis can still get what they want. And so Jeremy was working pretty hard on defense. He played some excellent defense tonight, but Udre was losing him on some screens because Memphis they performed the plays really well. And if you perform them well, then the guy that you're setting picks against, he's going to have a hard time catching up to his offensive assignment. And that's what was happening to Jeremy. And Udre was capitalizing on it. So got to give them credit and give Udre credit. Okay. Then Jeremy had another play. He stole the ball again, and he passed the ball ahead to Nick Young for a layup. So Jeremy was fighting. He was cruising, and then Udre came back at him, and now Jeremy was attacking again on defense, getting a steal and setting up Nick Young for a nice layup. And then Stu Lance, the Lakers announcer, said, when the floor is spread out, that's when JLin's speed is a factor. That's correct. That's when you will see the best version of Jeremy, when he's getting out in transition and when you spread the floor out so that Jeremy can use that speed. That's what I said. He hasn't been playing in systems, or he hasn't been playing the role that's best for him in the systems he's been in to show what he's capable of doing. And hopefully he'll be able to play that role sometime soon, because the talent is there. The ability is there. He just needs to be able to be put in a position to maximize it. Okay, then I put bad defense. Mike Conley was able to beat. Mike Conley had come back into the game for Beno Udre. Mike Conley was able to beat JLin on a little curl play, and he just got a step on him, and he was able to hit the shot. And then Stu Lance said right after that, they're attacking JLin with whoever Jeremy is guarding. And they were doing that. So this is it's partly the whole let's attack Jeremy, because Jeremy's the weak defensive link. But honestly, a lot of it was Beno Udre's hot, so let's go to Beno Udre, who just happens to be guarded right now by JLin. And Mike Conley's been good all game, so let's go to Mike Conley too. But to be fair, they were going after Jeremy here. And Jeremy was able to answer the challenge, and that's key. As I said, teams will do this until you stop it. So because Jeremy has this reputation, he's so easy to beat on defense, and teams will do that. And so he just needs to keep pushing against it and make it go away. Look, Jeremy had some, like I said, he played some great defense tonight. He really did. I mean, he had 3 steals in this game, which is the most of any player in the whole game. So he did a lot on defense. But teams are still going to test him. And he just needs to keep going at it, which is what he did tonight. So I was happy. Okay. Now, moving on into the middle of the fourth, Jeremy had, his 8th score of the game. He did a nice little crossover move against Mike Conley. I believe, he was on the left-hand side of the lane. He drove down. Then he kind of did a crossover move and came back to his right, went into the lane, and then hit like a little floater / runner or jumper. And as I said, he lost Mike Conley on that play. So this is another one of these individual one-on-one moves that Jeremy has been working on. And it was terrific. Like I said, it was one of a series of those moves that he did tonight that looked fantastic. Right after that, Jeremy had his 5th assist of the game to Carlos Boozer for a little layup, which that made the score 93-88 to Memphis. Carlos Boozer then fouled out of the game with 6 minutes and 1 second left. Kobe came back in for Carlos Boozer at that moment in time. So what we had on the court then was Jeremy, Kobe, Nick Young, Ed Davis, and Jordan Hill. Then Jeremy scored his 9th basket of the game. He hit a 3-pointer from 40 degrees left of the top of the arc, which gave Jeremy his 20th point, which would be his final point for the game. A pick was set for Jeremy. I think it was Jordan Hill that set the pick. And Mike Conley had a choice to make. Do you go underneath the screen and to get to JLin, or do you go above the screen? And the choice is simple. If you go underneath the screen, then you are letting the man shoot a jump shot if he wants to shoot it. If you go over the top of the screen, you are challenging a jump shot and not letting him shoot cleanly. Mike Conley went underneath the screen. Jeremy saw what he did, and he just went up and shot the ball, bang, right through it, and the crowd was super pumped up. Like I said, no hesitation from Jeremy tonight. He really wasn't thinking much in a good way, and that cut the score down to 94-91 for Memphis. Jeremy then missed his 5th and final attempt of the night. He shot a jumper from the free throw line area. It wasn't a great shot. I worked the offense a little bit more, but again, Jeremy was feeling good, and so he just kind of wanted to see what he could do, and fortunately that was a miss. Excuse me. Then Jeremy played some nice defense. He went and helped down against Marc Gasol, so he went down and double-teamed Marc Gasol and basically helped force Marc Gasol into a missed shot. Then the Lakers made a comeback. Kobe was controlling the ball more on offense. Kobe was running the offense more as the point guard, and he passed the ball to Nick Young for a made 3-point shot. That made the score 97-94. Then the Lakers scored again. That made it 97-96 for Memphis. Then I put tough defense. Mike Conley runs off multiple screens, and he hit a 3-pointer over JLin off of the screens. Memphis is, they're just great at this play. They will set multiple screens for their guards. And it's basically you have to run and catch up to the guard through all of these screens. And Jeremy was just a second behind Mike Conley, and Mike Conley hit the 3. So, again, it wasn't that Jeremy played bad defense. It's just Memphis executed a little bit better. And they're good at that, and that's why they're a good team. That's one of the reasons. So that put Memphis up 100-96. Right after that, Jordan Hill fouled out of the game on an offensive foul. So both Carlos Boozer and Jordan Hill had fouled out of the game and were out of the game with 3 minutes and 26 seconds left. I then made the note that said Kobe is directing the offense late, so he was playing the point guard role here down the stretch. The Lakers cut the lead down to 102-100 with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. Memphis took a timeout at that point. Then Mike Conley missed against JLin, so that was nice. Jeremy was able to shut down Mike Conley, I believe, to help him miss that shot. Then Kobe did an isolation play, and he missed a shot. Then a moment, just soon thereafter, Kobe hit a three-point shot, which made the score 106 to 105. Then Jeremy almost had a turnover on inbounds play. And then this is where there's like 17 seconds left or something. Kobe wanted JLin to foul Mike Conley, I believe. And Jeremy did not foul him, so Kobe ran up from his defensive position and fouled Mike Conley. And then there was a whole discussion between Kobe and Jeremy. Why didn't you foul him? Kobe was saying to Jeremy, and this is where Jeremy obviously said, Byron Scott told me not to foul him. I will address this in the post-game stuff in a moment. But my understanding is that Jeremy thought he should foul Mike Conley immediately because the shot clock was off and the Lakers needed the ball back if they were going to win. But apparently Byron Scott told Jeremy, no, don't foul. So Kobe was basically yelling at Jeremy, but apparently he should have been yelling at Byron Scott. So that's what happened. Then Mike Conley made one free throw, missed the other. That made the score 107 to 105 Memphis. LA had the ball and they called a timeout. And there was 11 seconds left. The announcer then for the Lakers, Bill McDonald, said something like, Kobe was 0 for 12 in his last 12 shots in the clutch, either to tie the game or put the game ahead. So that was mentioned by Bill McDonald. Then on the play right after this, right after the timeout, Kobe drove to the basket and he drew the defender to him and he passed the ball to Ed Davis. And Ed Davis was fouled as Davis went up to go for a layup, basically, or a dunk. So it came down to Ed Davis having to make 2 free throws to tie the game up. Ed Davis made the first free throw, but he missed the second, unfortunately. Then the Lakers broadcast said that Jeremy was the subway sub of the game. And then, and I said this on Twitter, we remember that Jeremy was criticized after the first Minnesota game for making supposedly boneheaded plays down the stretch of the game. I believe that's what they were called by Kobe and Byron Scott. And then I said on Twitter, is it boneheaded to pass the ball to somebody like Ed Davis when you know they're going to get fouled and they're not a good free throw shooter? In other words, everybody on the court knows Ed Davis doesn't shoot free throws well. So if you pass the ball to him, he's getting fouled. They're not going to give him an open layup. So was that a boneheaded play by Kobe? I think it might have been. Now, I'm not saying it was a good basketball play because Kobe didn't have an angle to take a good shot. But in terms of strategy, it wasn't a good play because you're basically putting your fate into the hands of somebody that shoots, I can't remember, like 50 or 60% on free throws. So that's a question that should be asked to Kobe. If Jeremy's going to be criticized for his decisions, then Kobe should be criticized for that decision, or at least it should be asked of him. Did you know, Ed, that you were passing as somebody who doesn't shoot free throws well? I mean, that's something I think that should be brought up. Okay, then Memphis was fouled right after that. They got the ball back, and Memphis was fouled. They ran some time off the clock, so we're now 3 seconds left in the game. Memphis made both free throws, so that made the score 109 to 106. And there was now 0.6 seconds left in the game. LA took a timeout. They were going to be able to get the ball in the front court and have a shot at a three-pointer to tie the game. JLin inbounded the ball to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant received the ball about 40 degrees left of the top of the arc, turned around, got a good look at the basket, shot the ball. It was right on line, but it was slightly too long. hit the back of the rim, bounced up, and that was it. That was the ball game. So a very difficult loss for the Lakers. But they played hard. They played well. It's unfortunate they lost, but I don't feel like crushed or decimated that they lost because they played a good game against a good team and they had a chance to win at the end. And that's pretty much all you can ask for, especially for a team that's struggling. And against a team like Memphis, that's one of the best teams in the NBA in terms of record. So after the game, and I didn't see everything. I'll have to look at more once I'm done with this video. But after the game, Kobe was asked, or Kobe remarked about JLin, and Arash Markazai of ESPN put this tweet up. It said, Kobe on Lin, quote, "He just needs to relax. Sometimes smart people take themselves too seriously," unquote. I'm imagining that's about this foul thing at the end when they were arguing. But first of all, I don't know why Lin has to relax. And if Lin was doing what Byron Scott told him to do, then that's what he was told to do. So I don't know why Kobe's criticizing Lin or saying Lin needs to relax. If Lin pointed out that Scott told him not to foul, then Kobe's got to take it up with Byron Scott. You don't need to say anything about Jeremy needing to relax. And I don't know what the smart people take themselves too seriously is. It's like, dude, you passed the ball to a 50% free throw shooter who missed a shot, which was predictable, and you missed the final shot of the game. So you have to own up to your own boneheadedness or whatever you want to call it. Don't blame Jeremy. If Jeremy executed what Byron Scott wanted him to, it has nothing to do with JLin. You have to take it up with the coach. So, and I mentioned on Twitter, a couple of weeks ago, JLin was part of the Sharman gang that wasn't doing blank for Kobe, right? And now Jeremy's got to relax, or he's taking himself too seriously. Well, I thought he wanted him to take himself seriously. Before, the Sharman crew wasn't doing anything. Now they're taking themselves too seriously. So I got to look more at all these quotes, but I didn't like what I heard. Kobe needs to own up to his own mistakes, whether it's passing the ball to Ed Davis or whether it's getting on JLin or yelling at JLin when JLin did what the coach supposedly wanted him to do. Don't make Jeremy look bad in public. You're the one that messed up, or you're yelling at him when he's doing what Byron told him to do. So that's just stupid. I mean, like I said, though, I'll withhold full judgment until I see all of the comments myself, but I don't like it. Kobe, I don't know if you're covering for Byron Scott or covering for yourself. If you yelled at JLin and you were wrong, you need to deal with it and own up to it. And that's as simple as that. And that's what it seems like is what happened. Now, JLin himself, I saw a quick clip after the game where Jeremy was asked about what Byron Scott told him. And basically, Lin was talking. He asked Byron Scott, according to Jeremy himself, he asked Byron Scott, "Do you want me to foul?" And Byron Scott apparently told him no. And then you see Jeremy looking at the reporters and he's laughing, and he's like, and then I asked him again. So, I mean, look, if you're Jeremy, you don't want to make Byron look bad, even if Byron made a boneheaded mistake. So you have to be careful. You don't want to look like you're laughing at Byron Scott. However, I will say, this goes along with Byron's reputation. If I remember correctly, David West, who is now with the Indiana Pacers, played with the New Orleans Hornets. When Byron was the coach, I believe David West said about playing under Byron Scott that, quote, or paraphrasing, we didn't run any plays. And that's a paraphrase, and I believe that's what he said. So Byron might not be regarded as a tactical mastermind. Let's just put it that way. But again, if you're Lin, you have to protect your coach. You have to tell the truth. But you have to, you can't make fun of your coach, or you don't want to do that. However, I think we're starting to see some of the truth here. Which is a lot of people believe that Byron Scott was there as the coach because Kobe wanted him to be the coach. And now you have a situation where a mistake was made, and that mistake seems to have been made by Byron Scott. But now then Kobe's yelling at Lin during the game for a mistake that wasn't Lin's fault, and then after the game, Kobe seems to be calling out JLin rather than calling out the coach that he apparently wanted to be the coach, to basically be his coach. So in other words, it seems like it's like Keystone Cops. Well, Kobe doesn't want to call out Byron because he's the guy that wanted Byron. So who are you going to call out? You're going to call out Lin. That's just stupid. That's just dumb. Now, again, I might be wrong about this assessment. I need to see everything. That's the feel that I got in listening to this. That's not fair. That's not fair. Byron Scott and Kobe, they both called out Jeremy indirectly after the first Minnesota game with the boneheaded plays. They both said essentially the same thing. They didn't mention any names, but everybody knew who they were talking about. And now you want Jeremy to take the fall for something he didn't do? No. That doesn't work. If Byron Scott blew it on the fouling strategy, then he needs to own up to that. And Kobe needs to own up to it. And he needs to also own up, does Kobe, to making a mistake in yelling at Jeremy during the game. Don't compound the mistake by trying to blame Jeremy also after the game. Byron Scott, if he messed up, needs to admit that he messed up. And Kobe Bryant needs to say, yeah, Byron messed up, and I was wrong to call out Jeremy. Don't be talking about relax and smart people taking themselves too seriously. If Byron blew it, he blew it, and that's it. So I said, don't get into the games and the nonsense. This is where the truth needs to be told. So, look, it doesn't matter. Mistakes are made. They will be made. Everybody makes them, including some of the best coaches ever. We all remember Greg Popovich taking out Tim Duncan in Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals. Well, what happened? Tim Duncan wasn't in there to get a rebound or to get the rebound that came down to Ray Allen for Ray Allen to hit the three. Mistakes will be made, even by the best players and the best coaches. But they are only made worse if you don't tell the truth about them and you try to blame a scapegoat like Lin. Not only is it wrong to Lin, you're gonna really tick off Lin's fans, and that's a mistake. That's not something you want to do because that's a smart group of people who will track it down, and that won't end well for whoever's trying to do that. That's my opinion. So, okay, that is about it. Look, Jeremy played great. This is definitely one of his best performances of the year, if not the best. It's one of the best performances of his in recent memory in terms of all-around play. I thought he played fantastic. And like I said, he and his team need to figure out how can they repeat this and do not get caught up in any of this nonsense that Kobe's talking. In other words, don't, just like in the Minnesota game, Jeremy played well, and the next thing you know, he's getting benched. Whatever Byron Scott says, whatever Kobe says, if it isn't true or if it's not legit, if I'm Jeremy, don't worry about it. It's just them maybe trying to cover for themselves and each other, if that's what happened. And I don't know all the facts, but if that's what happened, then my guess is it's just a little trying to put a Band-Aid over what the real story was. If you're Jeremy, don't let it throw you. Don't. Just, you played great. Everybody knows you played great. Everybody saw it. Everybody. So just work on figuring out how to get your mind into the spot that it was at for tonight's game. To be able to play at this level against a very good defensive team in Memphis and coming off of difficult performance against Denver and the game preceding that, this shows a lot about Jeremy, how mentally tough he is and his improvement and development as a player. So I don't want to see any nonsense about one play derail that. So I'm happy. I mean, I would have been a lot happier if the Lakers had won, but I'm very happy with how the team performed. I'm happy about where the team's headed with having Ryan Kelly and Tarek Black. I'm very happy with how Jeremy played. So I'm satisfied. I'm excited. Okay, let's talk about the next game quickly. And it will be coming up 2 days from now. Actually, 1 day from now when I'm making this video. Sunday, January 4th against the Indiana Pacers. Indiana they've certainly fallen off this year. They're still a dangerous team, as the Lakers found out when they played in Indiana earlier this season and got absolutely destroyed in that game. If you remember, that was a game where they were down like 60-29 or something at the half. It was just an embarrassment. That game will take place again Sunday, January 4th, and it will be at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time in the United States, 10:30 a.m. early on Monday, January 5th, in Taipei, Taiwan, Manila, the Philippines, and throughout China. And it will be available in the United States on NBA League Pass and also Time Warner Cable Sportsnet. That'll be an interesting game. Indiana's been playing okay of late. They're not a pushover. They play very good defense. So it's a winnable game for the Lakers, but it's not going to be an easy game. So I'll be interested to see how the team performs, and I'd like to see Jeremy do well in that game. Okay, wrapping up here, we want to thank Gary Chen for the artwork you're looking at right now on the screen. Gary is an artist and blogger, lives in Taiwan. He's quite talented, as you can see for yourself. You can find out more about Gary and check him out on Facebook. You'll find that information in the video description below the video player. Also in the video description, you'll find information to check out highlights of this game. And you'll find out information how you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, as well as how you can come and follow us on Twitter. Thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. What did you think about this game? What did you think about the silliness with Kobe and Byron Scott, I guess, on this foul call and after the game and all this? I don't care about any of it. I just don't want it to mess with Jeremy's mindset or Jeremy's confidence. He's playing too well. We don't need any more foolishness. So other than that, it's meaningless to me. I don't even care. It's just they lost. It happened. Move on. I mean, tell the truth. If it's not Jeremy's fault, then that should be said. Besides that, it's just nonsense in the ether that means nothing. So yeah, weigh in. Tell us what you think in the comments below. It's great to be back. I will look in the comments, and I love talking to people on Twitter. So come and check us out in both of those areas. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Great to be back in the mix. I missed like 5 games or so. I did watch the games, or most of them. It was just a tough stretch for the Lakers, but they had some success as well. Jeremy had some tough times, but he certainly put that to rest tonight, and that's what we like to see. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 JLin YouTube fan channel. It's 3:43 a.m. early here on, Saturday, January 3rd, 2014, which means it is 4:43 p.m. on Saturday, January 3rd in Taipei, Taiwan. great to see everybody on Twitter, catch up with everybody. Got a lot of nice well wishes from the people in the Linsanity movie Twitter. Lisa Tarng, Lisa in the Philippines, all kinds of people. KP Chen, I haven't been able to respond to everybody, but I've seen everything that everybody has put, so it's great to be back. I'm excited. I'm energized. I love what I saw tonight from Jeremy, and let's just move on to the Indiana game, and hopefully we can keep it going, see another great J-Lin performance, and also get the W. Hope everybody's having a great day or great night wherever you are around the world when you check out this video. Take care. We will talk to you again soon. See you in less than 48 hours. And we'll be looking for you on Twitter and in the comments between now and then. Take it easy.